center was San Francisco. So Sham Sundar Prabhu and Mother Malati, they were there at that time. And one day, Sham Sundar Prabhu in his memories, he says that those were the days when the temple did not have much funds because Sham Sundar Prabhu by profession was a carpenter. Jayananda Prabhu was a mechanical engineer from Ohio State University, but was driving a taxi. So not many were working. So funds was always a challenge. And at that time, the place that they were living in, the temple, they had not paid the rent for 2 months. And the landlord had already given an ultimatum: if you don't pay the rent this month, you have to leave. Now they have no idea where the money is going to come from. And they were all in their teens. So even if they go out and work, they have to make money for 2 months and then this extra addition 1 month. So they have no idea where the money is going to come from. And Sham Sundar Prabhu explains one day when they were walking the street of Ashbury, morning time, Mother Malati and Sham Sundar Prabhu are going for Mangal Arti. Out of nowhere, $100 bills are flying. Real story. $100 bills are flying and they have no idea whom it belongs to. You have to be completely insane to kind of throw your $100 bills. They had no idea where it is coming from. Bills were just flowing, flowing, flowing. And they looked around and they didn't find anyone. So now what do? देने वाला जब भी देता छप्पड़ फाड़ के. They got 100, so much so that it was right enough to pay the rent for 2 months and that extra addition 1 month. So Sham Sundar Prabhu, in the memories, he was saying, in the initial days, it was very difficult for us to understand how this is happening. But later, as the days progressed, it just became a routine. With Srila Prabhupada, miracles were a normal thing. It was a normal thing. When prayers become a routine, miracles become a lifestyle. It is experiential. Let us pause and think about this statement. When prayers become a routine, miracles become a lifestyle. Those devotees who have been in this movement for long enough have personal experiences where things would always be against you. But somehow or the other, out of nowhere, Krishna opens that one door because of which everything falls into perspective. We all would have experienced that. Whatever age we are in, somehow we see things just fall into perspective. So when prayers become a routine, miracles become a lifestyle. And very, very important, if we are not praying every day, to at least take out few minutes and pray to the Supreme Lord. So Sri Ram looked at Lakshman and said, my dear Lakshman, what a miracle. We were looking for Sugriv and Sugriv's messenger is personally coming in front of us. They took Ram and Lakshman. Hanuman took Ram and Lakshman to Sugriv. And Sugriv was still afraid. He still felt, he still felt, Sugriv, he still felt that probably Ram and Lakshman are sent by Vali and Hanuman has not done proper interrogation. So he was still terrified to come out. And finally he mustered some courage and he came out. And he looked at Sri Ram and Lakshman, who were so effulgent. And Sugriv looked at Ram and said, what is your story? What brings you here? I have never seen you. Who are you and what is your story? And Sri Ram narrates his heart. He narrates his story as to how he had gone behind the illusionary deer, the golden deer, and Maya Sita got kidnapped by Ravana. His kingdom was taken away and his wife was also kidnapped. And when Sugriv heard this, he said, my story is also similar. My kingdom was also taken away. My wife was also stolen. Same pinch. For both, same story. And it cannot be coincidence. Both of us are meeting for the first time. Same story. Kingdom is taken away. Wife is taken away. So Sugriv looks at Sri Ram and says, you go first. You tell me your story in detail. So Sri Ram starts speaking. And as he starts glorifying Maya Sita and how she was kidnapped and the route in which Ravana kidnapped, Sugriv said, wait a minute. I think I may be wrong. I think when Maya Sita was being kidnapped by Ravan, I think she dropped something to the ground and my Vanar Sena, they took charge of it. I may be wrong, but I just want to present it in front of you. You see and you let me know whether that belongs to Maya Sita or not. Sri Ram said, okay. So the Vanars, they went inside and they brought, and it was wrapped with a cloth of Maya Sita, and Maya Sita had put her jewels in that. As she was being kidnapped, she put some jewels of her and she dropped it to the ground. And the monkeys of Sugriv, they took charge of that. So now they're presenting that to Sri Ram. When Sri Ram saw this, Sri Ram had tears in his eyes. He fell down to the ground. All this while, dear devotees, things were perfect. It was pretty much their last year of Vanavas. Everything was going good. Now he was about to come back. Now he was to take charge. But at the last moment, there is a reversal. Character is when we can take reversals positively in our life. Look at the life of Sri Ram. There was always reversals. In Bhagavatam, we find Chitraketu Maharaj going back home, back to God, and gets cursed now to become a demon. Maharaj Indrajumna, and then next life Gajendra. But all of them took reversals positively. Character is when the odds are against us, but we can still take reversals positively in our life and reflect from that and learn as to how we can improve. So Sri Ram looked at these jewels and started crying, had tears in his eyes, and he fell down. And he looked at Lakshman and said, Lakshman, can you recognize them? And Lakshman said, no, Bhaiya, I cannot. Sri Ram said, why? You were also there all this while. All this while you were guarding us. So why can't you recognize? And Lakshman looks at Sri Ram and says, my dear Lord, she is your wife. And out of etiquette, I never looked at her over the feet. I always looked at just her lotus feet. For the 14 years that we were there, my dear brother, I was just looking at the lotus feet. So Lakshman could not recognize any of the jewels except the ankle bells. He looked at the ankle bells and he said, my dear brother, this belongs to your wife. This belongs to Maya Sita. And when Sri Ram heard this, this was a thunderbolt to his heart, because all this while he had a hope that maybe Lakshman will say, no, this doesn't belong to Sita. And Sri Ram can feel, maybe my Sita is perfect. But now when Lakshman says this is a thunderbolt, and Sri Ram falls down to the ground, falls at the feet of Sugriv and says, Sugriv, what happened? Why didn't you protect? You knew my wife is being kidnapped. Why didn't you protect? You have such a big Vanar Sena. What stopped you? And Sugriv has no frame of reference because he has never seen Sri Ram. He doesn't know who Sita is. Sri Ram explains his story and he looks at Sugriv. He says, my dear Sugriv, what is your story? How did you land here and why do you have a friction with your brother? You mentioned Bali is your brother, but why do you have a friction? Brothers are meant to be together. Brothers are meant to be bonded together. Is the light coming on the face there? That's okay. He said, brothers are meant to be bonded. They're meant to be together. You both are brothers and both of you all are enemies. Sri Ram said, my dear Sugriv, please explain to me what is this history? Why do you have a rift? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Ram tells Sugriv that, my dear Sugriv, you please tell me your story. What is your story? How did you land here and what is your enmity with your brother? So Sugriv, he says that, my dear Sri Ram, everything was going perfect. But one time, this one demon, he came to attack. And in the middle of the night, he came to attack Vali. And Vali was ruling. He came to attack middle of the night. So Vali left the kingdom to fight him. And when Vali left, Sugriv thought to himself that, oh, my older brother is going, I should also give some protection. Out of care and compassion, he thought, my older brother is going, I should also go. So he followed Vali. And now Vali and Sugriv were chasing this demon. Now this demon had no idea where to go. So he eventually, after running here and there, hither and thither, finally entered into one of the caves. And when they entered one of the caves, Vali looked at Sugriv and said, you stand out and you guard this cave. If by chance he escapes, kill him. But I will go inside and fight. Sugriv said, okay. Vali went inside and Sugriv was waiting out. For 1 year, there was no noise inside. So Sugriv had no idea what's happening. But following his brother, he didn't go inside. He was just waiting out. Valmiki Ramayana explains after 1 year, Sugriv hears the sound of the demon. And now Sugriv feels to himself, maybe my brother was killed by this demon. Maybe my brother Vali is no more alive. That brother whom I loved and cherished so much, I was waiting out, but probably seems like he was killed inside. Sugriv was so much in tears, thinking that his brother is dead. He picked up a rock, he picked up a boulder, and he closed the cave so that this demon doesn't escape. He killed my brother, he should not escape. So he closed it. And now Sugriv went back and he told the kingdom, sad news, Vali is no more there. And now no one doubted. No one doubted Sugriv because he's the brother. And now eventually what happens is Vali had killed this demon. And now as he wanted to come out, he saw there was a rock. So finally he somehow kicks the rock and he comes out. And when he sees, here is Sugriv ruling. Now Vali thinks to himself, we are all there in the story? Who is thinking about whom? Who thought who is dead? Who was standing out? Who went inside? ठीक है कभी कभी करना पड़ता है. By the way, this Vali is different from the Bali. Bali Maharaj and Vali are different. Pretty much same name. One is a B, one is a V. But you see in Vrindavan, V becomes B. Vrindavan, Vrindavan. Braja, Braja. So Bali, Bali, but different personalities. Bengali pronunciation. Like Yamuna becomes Jamuna. Ya becomes Ja. Prabhupada would say Jamuna. So Vali comes from inside and he comes back to the kingdom, which is the kingdom Kishkinda. He comes back to Kishkinda and he says, here is Sugriv ruling the kingdom. And now Vali is furious. He looks at Sugriv and thinks, you on purpose put a rock so that I can be stranded inside, so that you can become the king and enjoy my wife. Because Vali was also married. Vali's wife's name was Tara. So back in the day, monkeys also had wives. Vali's wife, Tara. So Vali looks at Sugriv and says, you wanted to enjoy all these things and on purpose you made me stranded inside. Sugriv has no frame of reference. He says, no, I really thought you were dead. And Sugriv picks up his mukut, crown, and he places at the feet of Vali. Vali is so furious that he kicks him out of Kishkinda. Never should I see you back again in Kishkinda. If I see you here in Kishkinda, Gaura Premanande, you will be dead. So I give you a warning. You should never be seen in Kishkinda. And Vali was very, very powerful. So Sugriv said, okay. And now Sugriv was living in Rishyamukha mountain. So Sri Ram said, wait a minute. If Vali has the power to kick you out from Kishkinda, can he not come to Rishyamukha mountain and kick you out from here? Because both are not very far. So if you can be kicked out from one place, he has that much power. Vali has that power to even come to Rishyamukha mountain and kick you. How is it that you are safe here? What is the story? In fact, Sri Ram, he knows everything. He wants to hear it from his devotee. He is Bhagavan. What does he not know? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. Everything belongs to him. Bhutani cha bhavishyani mam tu vedana kasyana. Past, present, future. He knows everything of all living entities for time immemorial. What is that thing that Sri Ram doesn't know? But he wants to hear from his devotee. He is performing human-like pastime. Srila Prabhupada was like this. So many examples where Prabhupada literally knew, or he could face read. Like an X-ray machine, he could know what his disciple is thinking. I am in Seattle, and in Seattle, the community is led by a Prabhupada disciple by the name Harivilas Maharaj. So when he was Harivilas Prabhu, in his memories, he says one time he came to Prabhupada. It was his day of Brahman Diksha. So he came to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada called him ahead. So he came ahead. Prabhupada said, "Come little more ahead." So came little more ahead. Prabhupada said, "Come little more ahead." Because it was Brahman Diksha, so Prabhupada wanted to chant the mantras in the ear. So he came ahead. Prabhupada chanted the mantras. And then Prabhupada said, "So, you're going to Calais." So Calais is a port in the French coast, France, that side. So you're going to Calais. And Harivilas Prabhu, when he heard, he said, "No, Prabhupada." Because he was going from Dover to Boulogne through a hovercraft. And Calais doesn't come in between. So he said, "No, Prabhupada." Prabhupada said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yes, Prabhupada. Calais doesn't come in between." Prabhupada again asked, "Are you sure?" And this time Harivilas Prabhu, he said, "Prabhupada, you're wrong. Calais doesn't come." And then immediately he felt, what did I do? I told my spiritual master, you're wrong. Immediately that guilt was there in the heart. Nahi bolna chahiye tha. Galti ho gaya. So Prabhupada just smiled and said, Prabhupada said, okay. He went. And when he reached the place where the hovercraft was there, they made an announcement. Due to bad weather, the hovercraft that was going from Dover to Boulogne is no longer going to Boulogne, but is going to Calais. And when Harivilas Prabhu heard this in his mind and his heart, and almost out from his mouth, he was thinking, Jai Srila Prabhupada! Srila Prabhupada ki! He thought to himself, Prabhupada knew it. Prabhupada knew I'm going to Calais. He asked me thrice, and I said, Prabhupada, you're wrong. Prabhupada knew it. Where is this quality coming from? Sakshad Hritvena Samasta Shastra. In our lives also we would have seen our spiritual master many times. He may say things which probably no one is aware. Only we or as a family we may know, but no one is aware. And that just instills more faith that this personality can actually read through. Like an X-ray machine, he can read through. So Sri Ram knows everything, but on purpose, he is asking Sugriv. So Sugriv now takes Ram to another story. What was the question? Who kicking whom? Bali kicking Sugriv. Who is asking the question? And what is Lakshman doing? Sitting. Out of syllabus question. So Sri Ram asked this question, and now Sugriv takes Sri Ram into another story. So it's like those who are into coding, it's like a nested loop. One loop into another. So it's a story into another story. So he says that, my dear Lord, there was one demon by the name Dundubi. Dundubi. Please don't ask me what the meaning is. Please don't ask me who the parents were who named him as Dundubi. I have no idea. You just take the essence. नाम था Dundubi. और कैसे पढ़ा, किसने नाम रखा, कब नामकरण हुआ, I have no idea. So this Dundubi, he had this urge to fight. So he went to the ocean god, Varun Devata, and he said, I want to fight. Varun Devata said, look, I am not in a mood to fight. You go and fight someone. He said, give me a name. Kinke sa jhagda karo. He said, you go and fight with the Himalayan mountains. So he said, okay. Now this Dundubi went to Himalayan mountains. and with his um, horn, he started hitting the Himalayan mountains. So the mountain personification, he came and said, "Arey Baba, what wrong did I do? In my case, some sadhus are doing bhajan. They are not disturbing you. I am not disturbing you. Ah, bail mujhe maar. I am not disturbing you. Why you are coming unnecessarily?" He said, "I want to fight." He said, "You fight someone else." He said, "Give me a name." Fight whom? Huh? Of course, in those days there was no WWE or WWF, but the urge was there to fight. So Himalayan mountain, he said, "You go and fight with Wali. Wali is very powerful. You go and fight with him." He said, "Okay." He came to Wali and started challenging Wali. And now Wali was very powerful. When Wali heard, he came out and in one go he picked up this demon Dundubi by the horn and pura ghumaya, whirlpool, and he just threw him. And this demon fell very far away. Wali was very, very powerful. Sugri was not even 1/4. Wali was very powerful. So he threw this demon. Now you may have this question, what is the connection? When this demon was thrown, a few drops of blood fell to the ashram of Martanga Rishi. Martanga Rishi was doing bhajan in the foothill of Rishimukha mountain. So when few drops of blood fell, he became so angry. When he got to know Wali has done this, he cursed Wali. That never ever should I see you in my ashram. Never ever should I see you even in the radius, few kilometers around. If I see you, I'll kill you. Now sadhus were very powerful. They had mystic potency. Karma comes back. Karma is like a boomerang. It comes back. Vali had threatened Sugriv that if you come here, I will kill you. And likewise now Martanga Rishi, he threatens Vali, if you come here, I will kill you. So karma comes back. Whatever we do, we may forget. But it comes back. Krishna never forgets. We have to drill this point in our head. We may forget, Krishna never forgets. What is the example? Dasharath Maharaj was blind. No, Dhritarashtra Maharaj. Dhritarashtra Maharaj was blind. 100 lifetimes in the past, he had a very peculiar habit. When the ants would crawl, he would take a blade of grass and he would poke their eyes. And he would get pleasure in that. Maja. To see them suffer, he would get pleasure. And he did that to so many ants. And that fructified after 100 lifetimes and he became blind. So karma never, it's not necessary that it's going to act in the same lifetime. It's possible that something that we do now, after 40, 50, 100 lifetimes, it's going to fructify. So Krishna never forgets. Sri Ram never forgets. So this thing again came back. Vali now had no entrance to the Rishimukha mountains and now Sugriva was perfectly fine. Now the Supreme Lord was hearing all this. He was hearing this from Sugriva. Now he understood the story of Sugriva. He understood the story of Sugriva. And he told Sugriva that, my dear Sugriva, let's do one thing. You heard my story. My wife got kidnapped, Sita. I heard your story. Your wife also got kidnapped. You also lost kingdom. Let's strike a deal. I will help you fight your brother. And I will make sure that the kingdom is restored and you get your wife back. In return, you make sure that you help me get Maya Sita back. Deal? It's a deal. Let's do it. So Sri Ram and Lakshman, they struck this deal with Sugriv. Srila Prabhupada, we're talking about striking deals or negotiation. Srila Prabhupada was really expert in that. Very, very expert. Because he had a pharmacy, business. So negotiation was something that was there in his blood. Srila Prabhupada, when he was there in the Bauri, not a very good place to stay. So he was looking for another place. He told Mukunda Maharaj, Mukunda Goswami, Mr. Michael, as Prabhupada would call him. He told him that you find another place for me because this place is not meant for gentlemen. You find another place. So in the newspaper article, one day, an article came about 26 Second Avenue. It was called as the Matchless Gifts. Now, matchless gifts is not a name that Prabhupada coined. It was already the name. Prabhupada liked that name so much that he didn't change it. Because indeed what Prabhupada is giving is matchless gift. जिसकी कोई तुलना ही ना हो, it is atulya, atul. So Prabhupada didn't change the name. So this owner of the storefront was, please hear this. This owner of the storefront was a person by the name Mr. Grant. So the day was decided, and this owner came, Mukunda Maharaj came, and Srila Prabhupada also came. And before Srila Prabhupada came, Mukunda Maharaj glorified Prabhupada that he's a spiritual leader, he has written books, he's a big time author, he has written letters and even given books to the Prime Minister, he has photos with Prime Minister. He literally glorified Prabhupada. So this person, this owner was very inspired. If this person is going to stay, it's definitely for a good cause. Prabhupada came. Prabhupada looked at this whole place. And Prabhupada said, wonderful place. We should have this. So this owner became very happy. And Prabhupada asked, what's the cost? And he said, it costs $100 per month, $100. And in the conversation, he told Srila Prabhupada that opposite, there is one more apartment, which is also empty. So if you want, you can take both. You can stay in that apartment and you can do your programs here. Now the owner had no idea that Prabhupada is going to give Bhagavad Gita classes. He was told that they are going to do yoga, hatha yoga, ha, hu, he, hu.